So the problem for today is I bought this fridge. This is a Vevor 45 litre portable compressor fridge. I bought it for the changes in Trixie, our camper van. I'm doing some redevelopment on that, and it's never been used yet. But yesterday I had a bit of a problem. Our handle just came off. Here is the handle. Now unfortunately this is now damaged. After it broke though, it then swiftly became apparent that actually this is actually incredibly cheap. So I had started working on replacing this, and then I figured actually, you know, somebody out there might actually appreciate this problem because it must be a common issue. Anyway, this handle got knocked ever so slightly, just on the top edge here, and it then broke away. Now there's two springs that hold it together, which just keeps it in that lock position when it's closed. But the problem is that the plastic here, which holds this metal rod, so it pivots, is just super thin. It's like a millimetre, if that. Just really brittle plastic. Now, as you might be able to tell, I have tried to glue it. It ended up getting damaged on both sides, and I did try and test it again, but it just failed again. So this is the second time it's been glued together, really just so I could get the shape of it. So what I've decided to do is I'm going to delete this. So I then went ahead and made up some cardboard templates just for the framing here. So we can see obviously we've got this curved angle for the handle itself. We've got these little standoff points here with a curve at a 90 degree, and then we've got the actual handle itself, and this part here engages with the lock, which is just there, so that slides underneath this and that holds the lid down, otherwise it's just flapping about. So I've made some cardboard templates for this. That there is the first piece that we've made. That there is to represent this face here. So we made that. I've also got my measurements, which in this case was 60mm by 150mm, and that there is for this round face here, so the actual handle itself. So that there was 60 by 150mm. We need a panel that big. And then the finicky work was just trying to make a cardboard template of the little standoff here. Again, made that, tried to get the curve. So we now have our templates. So we've got the two templates for the corners, our handle, plus the latch itself. Taking them away over to some scrap metal that I've got from the van project, dusted them all off. So we've got our first part, which I've already cut off and bent to the shape of the handle, and ground this all down to remove the old white paint, because effectively it was just, you know, off-cut metal from, you know, cutting the windows out of the van and doing the metal work on the short wheelbase Transit. Hold that against there. That seems like it's a pretty good fit, in my opinion. Certainly good enough for me. And then it was last night as I was cutting it, I decided, oh, I should really turn the camera on so you can see it. But I had already welded this part, so I'd already cut our latch, and I'd already cut out the corner pieces here. As you can see, I have tack welded them together now, just for the structure, really just so I can test it. And now what we need to do is basically get the handle here to sit in. So I just need to find that position, take some measurements, and then get the handle to fit in there. And then in theory, at this point I should then be able to drill the holes in the side here for the spindle, give this a paint, and then in theory we should have a replacement handle. Now the only issue that I might have still before I weld that together is the standoffs for the springs, because as these go against the fridge here, they're actually pressing down and curving this around, so it has a better kind of upward force on this clip to kind of clamp that down. So I'll need to work out how I'm going to do these standoffs. I was thinking maybe just running a bead of weld, you know, just stacking some weld up basically to create a little post, put the spring down, and then just, you know, tack weld that in just to hold it. Because it's on that curved angle, I think I'm going to have problems. I don't know if I'll keep them in. But basically the next project now is to find out the measurements for the riser here, so I can get that position and tack that in. Tack that in, try and get it as straight as I possibly can, and then that there should be the upgraded handle for the fridge. Ta-da! Just going to tidy up these edges here. I just want to put a little bit more weld on them and then weld up this inside corner. Maybe if I could get a decent ground, that might help. Not necessarily the prettiest, but we'll take it to the bench grinder and just tidy them up ever so slightly. Doesn't have to be absolutely perfect. I mean, it's not load bearing or anything like that, so we'll take it to the grinder though. On that outside edge, I've just ground it off just to try and make it a bit more squarer. Nah, it's not perfect, but it's only a handle. But I think what I might do though is I think I will still try and put a couple of tacks just in this inner edge, just to give it a little bit more bite. So just a couple of tacks in there. Again, I won't really need to clean these up because this won't be seen. I think that's what I'll do. That side's not that bad. That side though, nah, we won't talk about it. So the next thing I need to do then is try and find out where this bracket is going on our new handle. Now I've sat the old handle on, and with a pencil I've just marked the edges, these two edges here. So in theory this should be able to sit in there. Okay, now the problem that I've got now is there is a material thickness change between this steel and the thickness of this plastic here. So I'm going to somehow try and tack this in at 90 degrees on this curve, but also maybe push it back a little bit more just to accommodate for this thickness change on the plastic. I've got my ground attached to my sheet metal here that's on the wooden bench, and I need to try and hold this, I think, to make this work. So this will be fun. You know, I've got one of these auto dimming welding helmets, but I just cannot see a dang thing through it. Try and get a wee bit more light on it. Well, that was rubbish. It's an awkward shape. Well, for my level of skill anyway, it's an awkward shape. But it's starting to look closer to that. You know, it's starting to look a bit more like that. I've tried to get a clamp on it just to try and squeeze these two together a wee bit more, and I'll try and get another couple of tacks. Again, I'm not interested in getting a full bead across this. It's not really needed, but I do want to at least try and get another 2 tacks at least, maybe there and there, either side of this clamp. Is it pretty? No. Will it work? Hopefully. Alright, so that's that welded up. Not exactly the best, but that'll do. Now, I know some of you will be saying, David, why not just weld it on the inside? That way you wouldn't have all that mess sitting here. You're right. Didn't occur to me until after. Now, I might be able to clean these up with the Dremel, just to make it a wee bit more pretty. But that is that unit now done. So very, very close to what we're trying to achieve here. So very, very close. Now I did test fit it. Seems okay-ish. Now the next thing we need to do then is to get the hole here for the spindle here. So I've already tried to mark the position of this hole through the cardboard template that I've got. I've now basically transferred that onto our piece of metal here. I have center punched it. Looks like they might line up by eye, but again, this might not be the best idea because there is slight differences in the plastics. So things are pushed up and pushed down in different places just because of the thicknesses of this versus this steel here. Hopefully though I can get it to transfer okay. Hopefully it works out. I'm also a little bit nervous as well because I do think that I've managed to put this on squint, but I can't quite tell if it's just my cut across here when I used the hand grinder to cut all this metal out, whether or not I've, you know, it's not a straight edge, it was free cut. Anyway, let's try and get the hole in this. Fingers crossed this lines up. Not going back now. Second hole. Oh, it didn't even remotely look straight. Oh. Probably not. Right, let's see. In theory that should go like that. And that should go like that. Well, it doesn't look too bad, does it? I mean, that might work. Oh jeez. We can see that it is off. You know, it's not quite straight. It is off a little bit. So we'll probably have a slight cappy-wampus handle. Anyway, I don't have much time unfortunately to do this because we are wanting to go away camping in Trixie tomorrow. So yeah, I'm kind of at the final stages of finishing off the van, and then I end up breaking the handle. So this is just so that we've got something to stop it from opening up while we're driving. Right, let me go and test fit this. Put it in. It does pin in. Now, I don't know about you, but that's actually not that bad at all. That does look pretty even. So I'm happy with that. Now, we can see that it's flapping. And that's because it needs those two springs at the back here to kind of push this down, which should stop the lid from coming up. Okay. Now, I do obviously need to get those springs in. I also see that there's a little bit too much movement for my liking just on the up. So I think what I might do is I might get some like a rubber, maybe like a rubber sticky pad, and I might put that just on that clip face at the bottom, just to try and take up that gap, because obviously when I tried to move it backwards when I welded it in, I was trying to compensate for the thickness of that metal, and I've got it wrong by, I don't know, a millimetre, half a mil, something like that. So I think a little bit of rubber padding, double-sided sticky, will probably just help to bring that level up, and then with the two springs on, that should push that handle in and it should catch. But that's not bad. Now I just need to work out how I can get that back out so I can figure out what we're doing with the springs. See you in a minute. Well, that was fun getting that back out. I managed to basically slip my pick down in this gap between here and the fridge, and there's little raised pinch marks here on the spindle, so I was able just to get the pick, get it down, and just managed to grab onto that just enough to be able to bypass that spring to pull that out. So I managed to get it out with that wee pick. So if you're having to dismantle yours, I don't know why you would, it's probably snapped off anyway, but you can get a little pick in there and just pull that, fight the spring, and then it'll pop off. That's looking okay so far. Now the next thing is what am I going to do about these springs. So I've already decided that I'll probably end up putting some sort of sticky rubber I get across this face here, just to try and raise that thickness up a little bit, just try and take that gap out so it's a nice tight fit. You do want it to be a tight fit, it's a fridge after all, you know, you don't want it to be, you know, opening and closing and losing that cold. So I'll definitely put something there, something just to try and help seal it. Whatever it is for just now though, I'll probably have to bodge it, which is slightly annoying, but I'll probably have to bodge it. Now, the thing is what do I do now with these springs? Now, these are basically on metal plastic posts here. So there's little plastic feet, little risers, and then they just slide on top of it, like so. Now I was thinking I might be able just to maybe weld them in, just the way they are, but I don't think they'll protrude enough, because we can see here that actually from that face the springs actually protrude a bit, so I do think I need to have them raised. Now at this point I now need to try and work out what I'm going to do. Initially thinking about it, I was thinking about just putting a bead of weld on, just build it up and then just tack them on, but I'm also thinking that I might be able to maybe modify something like a nail, you know, grind that face down so that it can then sit in the frame and then have the spring on it. But as we can see, that would work, but it's sliding all the way down to the bottom. Now what I might be able to do then is put a little bit of weld on the screw just to bulk that up, so it'll act like a shelf for the spring, and I might be able to do that. Now the good news is I've got two of them. In fact, I've actually got some of them, so I've actually got quite a few. I've maybe got about 4. So if I get it wrong, I can always redo it. But I am thinking maybe that might be what I need to do, but I don't know if weld will go on these, because are they metal or are they steel? Well, they are steel, so maybe there is some kind of coating on them, maybe a zinc coating. Might need to take that off. Leave it with me, we're back in a minute. Alright, that was a bit more of a faff than I wanted. Not exactly pretty, I won't lie, and they never took initially, so they'd fallen off. They've actually fallen off now twice, so I've put even more weld on it. It shouldn't budge now. I did do a test fit, turned out that I hadn't actually got the posts in the right place, so unfortunately I've now got a little bevel here as I tried to knock that pin down so it would fit, because the spring was just bent and it was catching on the lip. So I've welded them back in. This one had snapped off as I was trying to test fit it. That's all been done now. So what I'm actually going to do, because it was a pain in the ass to get this actually off once I'd put it back on, I'm actually going to prime this, paint it, and then I'll fit it back on. So I'll bring you back as soon as I have this put back on to the fridge. Seriously. All painted, installed. I mean, it's got some problems, but it does work. You know, it locks. It stops it from opening. I definitely will put some rubber on the bottom of that little clip, just so it bites a little bit better. But for a quick and dirty fix, done. Definitely very poor from Vevor, that plastic handle. There must be lots of other people that will have this issue. you can make a replacement handle if you need to. I know I certainly couldn't find any online as I was looking through, but I needed it done yesterday, so I couldn't wait on that. Anyway, hopefully you enjoyed watching along with me for this particular project. If I do come back to it and make any changes, I will definitely let you all know. But thank you for hanging out with me today, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye bye.